but I am going to do it now because my husband just came home from work and I'd like to feed him while he's taking a shower. I miss you guys, and I always miss you guys when I don't do Car Chronicles, but sometimes I have to rest, especially after having my grandbaby, and she has found a new place in everybody's heart. Shireen Dennis, God bless you. However, I do realize that you've got to be really strong to deal with children, and I ain't got that much strength. But we love her so much. God bless you, Crystal Calhoun. How are you? Faye Clark just went up the timeline to everyone who is watching me by way of social media. Angie Holmes says hello. Cassandra said hello. Brittany Brown says hello. Everyone is logging in. So I am so excited to see you all. Mental check day. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling this morning or this afternoon or this evening? Because we're logging from all different walks of life. So here it is. Let's have a dialogue. And so since you're in my inbox and because you're in my Instagram DM and you want to have this dialogue, well, I am supposed to be resting. Let's have it. The conversation came about where I miss you too, New Life. God bless you. The conversation came about that below, like down below, like this is going to be at the top, but down below, Jackie, how are you? You're going to see a clip of women who went to a retreat. They were asked, from what I understand, to wear their wedding gowns at the retreat because, thank you, Mary Tucker, because the expectation, or for argument's sake, at this woman's retreat, that they were going to be married the following year. Stephanie Reeves, bless you. So what they did is, with an expectation, is they came to a woman's retreat with their wedding gowns and they were crying profusely. They made a declaration and they were crying and they were going up. Someone said, wait till y'all see that buffoonery. Regina Pope, you must have saw it. Thank you, Trinity. These women were, I love you too, were going through the notions or the motions that this time next year, all of the women that were in the retreat with their wedding gowns crying were going to be married this time next year. God bless you. Thank you, Kaylin. Kaylin is counting. She says, I don't care. I am not saying that that could not happen. I put it up and I said, what in the whole hell is going on at this woman's retreat? And there were women, specifically women, who are in my inbox and they're saying, and even some of them commented, what about faith? The women that commented, well, I thought you were a woman of faith. Now, hold on. I was married. I'm married. And I am going to speak from the perspective of a wife. And I am going to speak from the perspective of getting a husband. But I'm also going to speak slightly from the perspective of keeping the one I got. So understand that I am a woman of faith. But there's a whole big difference between being a person of faith and just being a person of faith. If you read the scripture and it declares, my assistant is going up and down the timeline. Elder Michelle, would you please get the scripture for me? Faith without works, you understand? You can find it in several different factors. Go to Synoptic Gospels, but you'll find it. Faith without works is dead. I happen to be the author of a best-selling book called A Needle in the Haystack, Finding Love Amongst the Rubble. So I'm speaking also from the perspective of a pastor. So several different factors, and even being in therapy myself, I now can speak from that perspective. Now, I may not speak from everybody, but let me help you. I believe women today do not understand, and not just women, that anyone that is required to be in a relationship have to understand some assembly required. When I was a little girl, I'm 52 years young. Hey, Pastor Sam, how are you? We used to go to this place called Toys R Us. Toys R Us was a place where even my children, when they were babies, I used to go to Toys R Us on Route 22 in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I would tell them, pick out a toy. My son would pick out a toy, my daughter would pick out a toy, and he would pick out wrestlers, and my daughter would pick out something called Lily's Pet Shops. And I was okay with them getting the toys. But the problem came when I had to read the box. And the box stated some assembly required. The problem with people trying to get into relationships or trying to get a husband or a wife is they forget the fine print that says some assembly is required for you to get it. Which simply means that nobody's coming to you fixed, whole, or totally assembled together. You've got to do some of the work. It is unrealistic if you just put on a wedding gown and you just pray without going to do some work. Which simply means that you have to, thank you for doing that, James 2020, James 2026, thank you, Pastor Sam. Which simply means, that's not the gospel, but anyway, it simply means that somebody is out there dating. Fightful the Mouse said, we're sleeping underneath the same big sky, you just haven't met them yet. But it is an unrealistic person that tells you to put on a wedding gown. And every woman that is gathered in this singles women's conference is going to have a husband this time next week. People come with the collision of two histories. That means there's history coming together. And you have to compartmentalize, is this person good enough, worthy enough, or should they be in my boat as I fellowship and I'm sailing along life? In my book, I tell you, don't say dating, but I say it sometimes for argument's sake. You are fellowshipping. You are fellowshipping with each other, riding the ship of life along, and you're going to decide if you're going to dock or keep sailing. It simply means that you come in contact with people. Please don't have an expectation at the first date. When you are fellowshipping with someone, it is unrealistic for you to think that the person that's sitting in front of you is your husband. Stop this bullshit. It's rare. It's rare. Can it happen? Absolutely. It is rare. My husband, who I am with now, told me, this is what he said. Women get caught up when men say you're my husband and you don't see him putting work in. Or women, you say you want to be a wife, but you don't know the difference between settling and lowering your standards. Stay right there. I'm going to do a little bit of work for y'all this afternoon because y'all totally just disrupted my entire day. Single ladies, you got to make your list. There is a list between settling and standards. Most women who are out here trying to find a husband, you don't know the difference between settling and your standards. The problem with a lot of single women that I found is you want perfection without being perfected yourself. You want perfection without being perfected yourself. That is not fair because your expectation is that he is supposed to be, 1, wealthy. 2, he got to be strong like a bull. 3, he got to be fine. He's got to know how to do everything right, but yet still you're out here doing everything wrong too. So what happens when you get two individuals and you're trying to build something on brokenness? This is why I tell people all the time, go somewhere and sit on the couch and get therapy. Therapy is necessary because the person that you were involved with before you got involved in the dating game jack you up. It is called the dating game for a reason because you're going to mess up trying to play it with the wrong set of rules. The dating game is mastered when the person understands the art of getting caught. Now, I am going to say something, and I don't care. I'm so over people's opinions because opinions don't have me. I have been married several times. All of us are married. My sister Joy, my sister Kenya, my brother Mark. My daughter just got out of a relationship and she will be married again soon herself. However, people around me are in relationships. My mother taught us how to be wives. She did. I did it several times because I realized I was very young the first time. And I married somebody that my mother chose for me that I didn't care for, but I did anyway. I did it again with my bishop, the late Bishop Reverend Ronald B. Christian, who was my bishop, who's passed away, introduced me for somebody. Then I did it again because I was bored. I was bored. I don't care what you say about me. At least I have not given up on love, because if I gave up on it, I wouldn't have reached the point where God gave me my soulmate. So what I did is the Lord began to speak to me. This is my truth. And he said to me, you are not going to close your eyes until I send you who I chose, not anybody else. And so what happened is the Lord sent me my sister's best friend, who I didn't know. I wasn't even at my sister's wedding because I was out of the country preaching. But the Holy Spirit told me, I've found someone for you. He only, yes, bored. Yes, ambitious queen, bored. He only sent my husband when I was ready, but he only puts people together when there's purpose. So because there was a purpose on me getting involved with my husband and marrying him, he knew, because the Lord told him the purpose as well. And so how long were we dating before we got married?
3 months.
We was dating for 3 months and he asked me to marry him. Because the Lord showed us the purpose. And so we got married privately before we got married publicly. Because he showed us the purpose. And so when there is purpose, the Holy Spirit will manifest the connection for a reason. Joseph, I need you to marry. Somebody said, wow, Joseph, I need you to marry Mary because there is purpose why you guys get together. So you got to understand, what is the purpose of you guys coming together? There is a difference between lowering your standards and settling. Some of you want somebody because you want to get married on purpose from somebody that does not understand your purpose. So you join together and you don't agree what that looks like. So you're trying to force somebody to marry you because your purpose is what? The first thing you got to do is, what is your purpose? Why are you doing it? Are you wanting to get married because you want to have sex? Do you want to get married because you're lonely? Do you want to get married because you're tired of paying bills by yourself? Or you want to get married because you ain't got nowhere to stay? I've been there, done that, bought a t-shirt. The first thing you guys got to understand is, what is the purpose? What is the reason? Because if you don't have a reason, then you're going to forfeit the purpose that God has for you coming together. Write the word single, settle, lower your standard. Write the word. Someone said, you just spit out your drink. Listen, stop playing with me, Ms. Brown. Single, settling, and lower your standards. Single, settling, and lower your standard. Those 3 attributes for single people. Listen to me. I love you too. Settling. Watch this. What is the definition of settling? Okay. The definition of settling is this: resolve or reach an agreement about an argument. It's resolve. It's resolve. It's resolve. That means at some point when you look at the similarities, it says sort out, find a resolution, reach an agreement about something. Now watch this. What is the definition of lowering your standards? Okay. Lowering your standards simply means this. It's an engagement. Hold on, because it doesn't let me go all the way different. Babe, I'm doing my best to do this thing. Okay. Definition of lowering your of stand. I'm gonna just put standards. Watch this. Standards. Okay. Because this is where a lot of women and men too are messing up because you don't know the difference between anything. Standards means a place. Hold on. Bye-bye. Okay, definition of standards. Here we go. Got it. Okay, standards means qualities, levels, grades, degrees, worth, caliber, or merit. When you guys are out here dating and you're single, you meet somebody that has all of the standards. And because he doesn't meet certain criteria, you won't date them because you say you settling. You're single because you don't understand single, settling, and standards. If you meet a man, I'm going to just give it to the women who are crying out and sparing out and lifting up their voice like a trumpet in Zion in these wedding gowns. If you are with a person or you meet a man and he got kids, Tarika, and you don't want to date somebody that has children, but he got all of the standards. Here you go. You want a God-fearing man. I get it. That's at the top of your list. You want him to be God-fearing. You want him to have a job. He goes to work. He's hardworking. He understands sweat equity. You know, he may not be that much of a dresser, but he's got all of these standards. But he got 3 kids. You'll throw him away because you don't want to date somebody that got kids. So what happens is you say, I'm not lowering my standards because he got kids, but yet still you have children or you don't even have any. So you could be involved with someone that requires just a little bit of understanding. How do we handle this here? I remember counseling this one single lady and she says, I don't want to date nobody with kids because I don't have kids. And I want my first experience to be we both have kids together. You just messed up half of the individuals, maybe 30% of men that want to meet you in your age of 25 to 30. Because the older you get, the more you find that people have children. So did you lower your standards or did you settle? Y'all respond. Y'all respond. Y'all responded. Blended families work. Me and Fred are a blended family. So ask yourself a question. You being a single woman, I want somebody and I want my first experience, man. You so busy talking about what you don't want. There's somebody with him saying, I do. Okay, Rose said, lowering your standards. Some of your standards are too high. Because if you don't have an understanding about what you got to sort out and compartmentalize, you're not ready for marriage. Because you could meet somebody that has all of the standards and you mix up and say, I'm lowering my standards. He ain't got no job. He might be in between jobs. Now I'm lowering my standards because I seen what I'm working with and he ain't got, and you so busy talking about what he doesn't have until you don't understand Eve. You're beautiful too. Eve means giver of life. Eve, the name means giver of life. I need the women specifically to really study that. Because what does that mean? Giver of life on the perspective in which you guys are saying birth, having babies. Okay, I give you that. But it does not stop at childbearing. It does not stop at childbearing. It simply means that I give life to anything that needs work or nurturing. I give life to anything dead. I have the ability and the key component to bring something into complete fruition with my hands, my ability to nurture. So when you meet somebody and they're not always together, you can't be afraid to take a shot to help get them together. About 1,000 of you just logged up and said, I said, hell no. Hold on. Hold on. You got it. Someone said the woman that's 25 that doesn't want somebody to have kids because they don't have that, she's selling. No, she's saying I'm lowering my standard. No, she's selling. That means he's got all the qualities. I'll settle for children. So the giver of life, Eve, means I have the ability to birth. Watch it. I ain't cleaning up nobody for nobody else. Okay. All right. So since we ain't in church and I'm not in the car, someone said, ouch, amen. Can we do something together? I want everybody that can. If you're sitting down, if you're driving, you may have to do it later. If you're watching a replay, do it later. I need everybody to just go like this. You did that? You did it. Okay. Do it again. You just displayed faith. You just displayed faith. You just displayed faith because you have an expectation that the chair that you're sitting in will hold you up. This is how we are with our faith. Faith without works is dead, but you walk by faith, not by sight. And some of you are not seeing your dating life clearly because you only operate in faith. The works is you got to watch this. Someone said, wow, you've got to sit down with a person and you've got to compartmentalize what you can deal with and what you won't. Instead of saying, I ain't dealing with that, I ain't dealing with that, I ain't dealing with that, I ain't dealing with that. Well, I want to be married, I want to be in a relationship. But what are you going to deal with? You've got to deal with something. And you operate in faith every time you sit in the seat, but you won't take a chance on somebody else broken. We sit in seats every day. And we pray to God, this seat holds me up, whether you're eating a whole bunch of bonbons or not. You have an expectation because it's got legs, it can hold your weight. Some of you women, I have to say, I looked at the video and my heart broke. Not specifically for the women, but because it's my sisters. We as African American women, the pickings, I understand, is slim. But suppose you meet somebody that ain't got it all together and wants to build something with you. Are you going to allow TikTok and social media and all of these immature women that says, well, he got to have that, and he can't drive no bus. Why can't he drive the bus? Are you saying that you're so uppity and you are so good until you can't go find a brother that's in the same neighborhood you used to be in before you bought your multi-million-dollar business in the house? No, he got to have that. Well, the man that has a multi-million-dollar business may not even want you either. Why is it that what he does, men who have a plethora of finances, he sticks with the woman that been with him since day one? Ask LeBron James. He been with her since high school because he realized I'm going to build with somebody that understood when I ain't have nothing. You could be with somebody that got it all together and lose it in an instant. So what, you going to bail out? You going to leave? And so materialistic women, stay single. All you got is in your purse. I guarantee you that. If you want to be a wife, you have to understand the Proverbs 31 woman. That's why we do She Babe as a conference. The Proverbs 31 woman, I ain't worried about you not working. I got you until you get, hold on now. I'm not saying you don't got to work, but the Proverbs 31 woman said, I will hold you down till you get it together. There is something called sweat equity. Let me tell you something. I will call Fred 50 billion times over to help me open up a jar. You got to ask yourself a question. Do you want a man or do you need one? Or do you not want one? Well, I don't know what y'all doing out there. Whatever it is that you want to do, it can be attainable if you go on the couch, sit down, and speak to a therapist and ask, how did you become so high-minded? If you sit down and ask yourself, how did I come up here with this plethora of standards that God himself is saying, even I don't want to jump that? Some ladies that are single are doing this to themselves. What would you do if a man, I had this guy tell me, he said, you wouldn't know what to do if you had a man that you ain't had to fix. And I just said, I was like, what you mean by that? He said, because you're so used to helping somebody, what would you do if you came across somebody that was whole? He was preparing me for Fred. Because I thank God it's not a lot of work, and he made me better. You can find somebody that'll make you better in areas you didn't even know you needed fixing in. Hear what I'm saying? And so these women are crying and screaming and hollering for a man in a wedding gown. And I would just be like, hold on now before you. How many of you in therapy? How many of you are dating? If you just waiting for the FedEx man to knock on the door, that may not be your man. He may be working to go home to somebody else. Did you overlook somebody? What you doing? Okay. I said something to a young lady. And I said, you too picky. You're too picky because so what? He has a little weight. So what? The one that was skinny was running you through the ringer. So what? She has a couple pounds. So what? So what? It's just this one tooth missing. So what? He does not have a 6-figure salary. So what? So what? Y'all are causing a lot of you women. I love y'all. I'm in women's ministry. I love women. I love women's ministry. I love it. But some of you are doing this to yourselves. When I was in Africa, I was on my way to was I in Takoradi? Michelle, we were going to coming from Takoradi. I was in Africa. And as I was going to Cape Coast. When I was going through Africa, Nilaye, he was a tour guide. And I said, Nilaye, we can't even get in our room because of these men. We can't move because of the men. He says, because you are women. He says, here, there's not a shortage of men in Africa. Watch this. It's not a shortage of men in Africa. It's not a shortage. I'm so sick of you single ladies taking these girls' trips until y'all missing it. As we was getting ready to go to another part of Africa, there was a bus from Howard University. I said, Shell, they got it. They got it. The bus trip from Howard University, you know me, I talk to everybody. I like to talk to people. I said to the young lady, I said, you here from Howard University? She said, yeah, it's spring break. And she said, instead of going to Jamaica, instead of going to Miami, me and my girlfriends chartered a bus and we came to Africa. They chartered a bus for spring break to go to Africa. And she said, yeah. The same young lady was in my inbox and she is married today. What she done. Look at Michelle. Michelle said men were everywhere. They sure were. You off the market now, sis. Listen, the women, they say you could have, the women are allowed to have maybe 3 or 4 men. It's so many men in Africa. And y'all sitting down instead of saying, let me go to Africa. You could go to Africa and you could find you somebody. And you could build a life with somebody you met. Well, he just want a visa. He just want a visa. He just want to. I've never seen so many women with so many excuses but desire to be a wife. You ain't ready. I don't have excuses when it comes down to serving my husband. I don't care how tired I am. I call my husband and I says, baby, tell me, what do you want to eat when you come home from work? He came home from work. I said, take your shower, sit in your chair. I've prepared your food. I will bring you your food. You don't have to move. I ain't doing that. No, I ain't doing. You so busy talking about what you don't want to do until what you don't want to do, there's a woman saying, I do. Because you don't know how to differentiate your standards from you selling. Well, he got to do that. He got to do that. Where did this come from, my sisters? Where did this behavior come from? We need some reality shows that deal with reality. We need some reality shows with some real life issues, deal with reality to help women understand that some of you got to do some work. Men, you got to do some work too. Women got to do work. Men got to do work. There was another thing that I saw where this woman said, I like being a side chick. She said, because I don't got to do none of the work. I sent him home to you. I helped keep your marriage together. She said, I don't mind being a side chick. What happened to the morals that we used to have in dating? You believe that everything that is required for you to get a husband is on your butt. It's not. You don't like what I'm saying. And I know somebody got offended because I even made mention of it. Do you know you've got to prepare your mind to grow old with somebody? You could date somebody and that person unfortunately could hit some sort of health issue and you become a caregiver. It's not just a 5 carat diamond ring, a big old house, a Maybach, and all of these falsified notions that you believe marriage is supposed to be. Marriage means you got to do some work. So if you don't want to do work in dating, you dang on sure don't want to do no work when you get married, if you get a ring. Some men want to marry you, but you want 5 carats. Some men want to marry you, but you want a house before you even fix your own credit. It's a quagmire of confusion. And now you got conferences with women in wedding gowns praying, saying, God, you're going to need my husband. I need my husband. Need my husband. Need my husband. No, the Lord is saying, I ain't thinking about not nail one of y'all. Because you don't even understand that if I put him in front of you, you'll be complaining about the work you got to do. Brother, if you look, brothers out here looking for you. But you run around with some woman that tell you he ain't got no job. I wouldn't get involved with him. No, he got 3 kids. I wouldn't have. No, he have no. His teeth is a little crooked. No, he heavy. He thick. He ain't got a good texture hair, so your baby's hair ain't gonna be telling you all kind of stuff. Single women, you need to get with some married women. You do. Because she will cultivate you and she will say, hold on. Don't you know how to do this? Don't you do that? Sometimes you've got to understand that most men don't know how to do certain things, and it is okay. A lot of them didn't have fathers. A lot of them didn't have uncles. Some of you might, or maybe you have not had good mothers. But whatever it is 2 individuals trying to build something together. And if you got a whole bunch of complaints, baby, you ain't ready, and neither is he. You've got to do the work. Some assembly is required. Now, I'm going to say this. You don't want nobody beating you. Nah. That should be top of any list. I will not have an abuser. I will not have an abuser. I will not have anybody use me. I will not have any of those things. Those are red flags that you never overlook. Abuse, never. Somebody that's picking a substance over you, I understand that. They got to do some work. But suppose you meet somebody, you get involved with them, and they get addicted to a substance. Do you love them enough to go through it with them? And hopefully they love themselves enough to say, I don't want to do this anymore. Some assembly is required. You may meet somebody and they may, don't know how to talk to you. Hold on. Well, what's going on here? Anytime a man loves you, he will change and shift the world to please you. Anytime a man loves you, or if you love each other, it's got to be some change. It's got to be some change. Because the work is necessary to bring about a peaceful environment. I need everybody that is watching this video to go to therapy. Go to counseling. Go to therapy. Because you might be your own worst enemy and don't even know it. You could pray, you could fast, you could lay on the floor, you could hikam a shot, you could run and go to that next conference. But if you don't do the work, your faith is just what it is. It's faith. It's faith. Here is the question before I leave. I want to keep the husband I have. Not getting a man is easy, but keeping a good one requires work. It requires work because I realize I ain't perfect and neither is he. There is work that is necessary. Will you be willing to do some of the work? Beauty fades. Beauty gonna fade. I could take my lace front off and walk around here and Fred won't bat his eye. You're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. We don't always agree to disagree, but we made a conscious decision. We want a healthy marriage, and I thank God we have it. You got to do some work, ladies. You got to think outside the box. There's a whole lot of men waiting for you, and they ain't going to always knock on your door. You may have to go to a foreign country. You may have to say, look, there's a man at work. He always bringing my lunch, and he may be a little thick in the waist, it's not so great in the face, and neither you, I don't know, but there's something here happening, and I like the way I feel around them. Somebody has messed up a good relationship, or you could have had a good marriage, or you messed up. You need to go to therapy and say, well, what happened here? What did I do? You ain't ready to get no ring until you're accountable from the pain you caused with somebody else, and definitely the pain you caused yourself. Stop this foolishness. Stop this. Stop this. Just stop. It's too much. It's too much. Marriage is for the mature-minded people. And it is necessary for you to go get therapy, because I tell people, be a better half. Be a better whole so one day you can be a better half. Be a better whole so one day you can be a better half. Stop telling people what you ain't gonna do. I ain't gonna do this, and I ain't gonna do that, and I ain't cooking. I ain't doing this. I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I. You so busy saying what you ain't gonna do until you ain't ready to do what you have to do. It's foolishness. If you're going to date with the understanding that I don't know where this is going, but I'm gonna be a good connection until we figure this thing out. You will not be a wife or a husband until time is right. Don't get frustrated in trying to force something when you yourself got to do some of this work. And so, yes, I believe in faith, but I do believe that some of you have to do a lot of work. And the work is necessary, because when you become better, you will pull somebody to you that says, hey, I like this conversation. I like this relationship. I like this, but nobody wants to be accountable. Nobody wants to do any of the work. Everybody's complaining. I never seen so many complaints in all of my life, especially from my sisters. Sisters, there's single brothers out here looking for you, but they run the other way because you just complaining so much. I love you. There's single men looking for you, but you so busy telling them what you ain't gonna do, and being mean from the damn door. Why you mean from the door? You mean from the door. If single men are on here, just wave, because it's single men waving right now. They waving. You mean from the door. He like, dang, I can't even get up. And that, you got to deal with that. Because when men see that, they're like, oh, yeah. Yeah. Be a better whole so you can be a better half. So you're saying go hunt a man in Africa. I thought you says don't look for a man. With all thy getting, get an understanding. And a hit dog hollers every time, and you was the one that hollered. So let me talk about your hit. What I'm saying to you is be open-minded, baby. See, I got a husband. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go feed him. I'm saying open-mindedness. And I'm going to address you, since you want to come with this attitude. Let me address it. You married? You single? What's your status before I go off? Because I'm not going to do that. I'm going to address you with a little bit of feng shui. What I'm saying, times have changed. And what I'm also saying is you have to be open-minded. And when you are open-minded, you open your mind for the possibility. However, what I'm also going to say is we live in a different season now. As a lady, don't be afraid to shoot your shot. How you think I got that one sitting in there? I got that one sitting there because we both were divorced. And my sister said, you'll be good for Apostle Fred. I said, you've been your pastor for years. Mm-hmm. She says, well, let me tell you. I said, girl, you moving too slow. Hello? Bam! I'm saying you can't be afraid to think outside the box. And don't be afraid to shoot your shot. Got it? All right. You can tell me about your status when we get off of here. I'm quite sure you'll be in my inbox calling me all kind of names, but that's all right. I'm good. I'm good to feed my man. However, I'm saying you must be open-minded. Anytime you box yourself in, you close yourself in the possibilities of what could be something great. Why? Because you're used to being comfortable in an area that's not doing much of anything. All right? Okay. Bye. Someone said, I'm dating. I've never been married. Whew. Girl, I ain't got that much time in the day. I got to go feed my husband. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.